How we doing all? This is AJ Torres calling strikes, and today, now, I unfortunately had an event, otherwise I would have been covering this a while ago, but, uh, Joe Girardi has been relieved of his duties for the Philadelphia Phillies, and his right-hand man takes his spot. I mean, this is beating the dead horse personally. I've been wanting to review this for a couple of days now, but my work schedule has not allowed me to. So here's the way that goes. This is the fourth highest payroll in all of baseball as far as total committed dollars in the offseason. The fifth highest amount. So it was Rangers, Dodgers, Mets, Tigers, Phillies, two most committed dollars this offseason, and fourth highest in payroll, and the other three in front of them Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Phillies. I believe I might have messed up the order, but still, you look at the payroll on this team. Tell you what, I'm able to share my screen here, so bear in mind 1 second. Ignore the tabs. Bryce Harper is Bryce Harper. Zach Wheeler is Zach Wheeler. We know JT Realmuto got overpaid for a catcher, but moving on. Nick Castellanos getting paid 20. Schwarb getting paid 19. Come on, man. Really? Knabel's getting paid 10, and some people don't think he's a closer. But, to be fair, the average person holds the closer role for 3 to 4 years in their career. Some people say, oh, who can do it? Not many can do it. Does anyone remember Dellin Betances? I know I'm a Yankee fan, but does anyone remember Dellin Betances being the best relief pitcher in baseball? Yet every time he took the ninth inning, something just changed. I remember that. The 4 years he was dominant, best relief pitcher in baseball. But when he took the ninth inning, yikes. Something mentally happened, and it just did not work. Then the injuries happened, and unfortunately, he's just bouncing around. But you know what? Got a soft spot for him. Love Dellin Betances. Back to the Phillies. This, to me, is just this is a scapegoat. I'm sorry. Rob Thompson taking over, I think that's okay. I get it. But I'm kind of looking at the standings here. The Mets are completely going to run away with this thing. The Nationals are rebuilding. They sold off everything. Josiah Gray's a Danbury Westerner, my hometown, so I'm going to root for him. But the Nationals are out of this race cut and dry. The Mets record and Nats record, flip them. 35-19, 19-35. This is as of 10 a.m. June 4th, 2022. The Marlins are at 21 wins. The Phillies are at 23. Now, the Braves, I understand Freddie Freeman's gone. I understand Soler isn't there. But this team right here, I think it's really just the World Series hangover. And it's common for a lot of teams. You miss two key pieces. But still, every time you play against the Mets and you're going to lose against them, it's just not a good sign. If you look at the division, if anyone wants to know how dominant the division is, how dominant the Mets are, the run differential for the Mets is plus 70. The Braves, it's minus 1. The Phillies, it's plus 11. The Marlins, it's plus 10. The Nationals, minus 80. Crap. But for real, this pisses me off to no end, not just because of Joe Girardi getting fired, because I think it was a big problem. I understand that the last two games they won, and one of them was against the Angels, which, by the way, the Yankees kicked their ass. Mike Trout is in a slump where I think he's 0 for 14, which is always terrible. They had a perfect game being broke up in the 8th inning from Jameson Taillon. So the games that they're playing, the last two games have been great. But you worry because there's no way in the last 2 games, when they're healthy, this team has been defensively the worst I've ever seen. Nick Castellanos is labeled as a DH on payroll. He's playing right field, and ever since he's moved to the outfield, he's been the worst in MLB consistently. Kyle Schwarber, people have been hesitant to sign him or give him a job or give him a certain amount of pay because it's like, hey man, you're here to hit the ball. We don't want you to field. If you look at this team, look at the roster. Now, I'm not mocking the starting pitching or the relief pitching, simply because if you lack the ability, we've seen this infield screw up on routine ground balls. It seems that, hey, this ball is, it's a fly ball or it's hitting the gap. We got Dave Dombroski says it's, hey, he's not in the right position, as in he is not starting in the right place. That's a problem, but that's what you got coaches for. But it's clearly not working. So if I take out, right, Castellanos and Schwarber, that are pretty much DHs. Okay? I think that's fair to say because fielding-wise, they are just not good. Rhys Hoskins. I felt like Rhys Hoskins, especially since you're not owed to him a lot of money, you're not married to him. The pre-2 arbitration, $7.7 million. It's just like, you know what? We didn't like you in the outfield, but first base is available. And as much as I hate to say it, because I do have stock in his baseball card, Alec Bohm. Not owed a lot of money, pre-arbitration. It sucks when defensively I think of you as a liability. It's terrible that way. Because I thought after his rookie year, I said to myself, you know what, in 2 or 3 years, you're going to be up there with Arenado, Chapman, Josh Donaldson before he started getting older. I thought he'd be in that caliber by now. And he's not. So once again, you rack it up. Castellanos, Schwarb, Hoskins, Bohm. That's 4 guys who I think could really just be DH. And you can't. And why can't there be a DH? Is because Bryce Harper has a UCL tear. They're putting plasma in there, and by the way, that's when they take your blood, they put it through a process, and they put it back in, the place so it could just help temporarily. This is times where athletes are just like, you know what, we're just going to let you relax for, an IL stint. We're going to give you some cortisone. We're going to draw blood. We're going to do this. And it's going to get to the point where the Phillies are just not good, and they're going to have to cut as to when. If you're going to have to prepare for 2023, do yourself a favor. Have Bryce Harper do the surgery. Because there's going to be games that are going to be meaningless at some point. Because there's no way that a manager change is going to say, you know what, we finally learned how to play defense. The relief pitching, hey, I trust anybody in the extra innings or 7 through 9 innings. I mean, the other night when they had a win, when you have 3 relief pitchers, 3 innings, no earned runs, perfect. Some people call it routine. For the Phillies, you call that a gift from God. It's got to suck when you're a relief pitcher. You paint the black with the pitch, they just get wood on it, and they're running out to first. Boom. Over first baseman's head. Rhys Hoskins is not a good first baseman defensively. Alec Bohm has had error troubles, it seems, for too long now. And Bryson, oh my goodness. Bryson Stott, I'm just going to say it's the yips for now because this has happened to everybody. D. Gregorius, when he was a Yankee, everybody. But it's just, routine ground ball is short, 3 feet over Reese's head. Not looking great. But even when Gene Segura, before he got hurt, it's like, hey, where are we going? Tap off the glove. It's just so frustrating, especially with Bryson Stott, right? This was a first-round draft pick. You called them up. So, again, I got it pulled up now. First-round draft pick, 14 overall in 2019. Went to Nevada, Vegas. Why is he having a hard time fielding? You can put him in the minors. Those are guys that could carry the load. Are you worried about service time? Do you just want to get it done? Does this win now? So Dave Dombroski said, we just need a change. Okay, but you basically let the guy's best friend take the charge. Do I think he'd be a little different? And Joe Girardi took it like a man. He didn't ignore the phone calls. Like, there's sometimes where managers get fired. A lot of people want to hear from the press. And a lot of people don't do it. But Joe Girardi's just at that point where it's just like, you know what? I just want to thank everybody. Best of luck to my friend who's got the job. I mean, I got to congratulate him for that. I got to tip my cap to the honesty. It's a little brave. How come nobody else does it? Why Joe Girardi? I don't know. But I still don't see this team turn around. The Mets are winning this cut and dry. The Braves, I think, got second place in this division. And even if there's 6 spots going in and not 5 this year. Okay, let's break this down. So we got the Mets taking this division. And let's assume the Cardinals are going to take this division. Now, before you get ahead, a moment, and let's just say the Dodgers take the West. So my division winners are going to be Mets, Cardinals, and Dodgers. Okay. Where are the other 3 spots? I'm giving it to the Brewers. Why not? 4. 5. Gonna get to the Padres. That's 5. We got 1 left. So, even though they won a couple games against them, I don't see the Giants better than the Phillies. I'm sorry, I don't see the Phillies better than the Giants. The Giants will be close. The Braves, better than the Phillies. So if you're looking at competing, if you're looking at record, I'm seeing a 500 team here in the Phillies at best. Again, I don't care who's on the mound, because we've seen this times. We've seen Eflin on the mound. We've seen Zach Wheeler on the mound. We've seen Brett Hand. We've seen Corey Kepler on there. We understand that they paid guys. We understand that they put guys into a certain place, and we can't blame Bryce Harper for being hurt. But at the end of the day, this was a poorly constructed roster by Dave Dombroski, and he's taking on somebody else, and he's trying to save what he's got to do. And is his job on the line? He goes, oh, I learned this from the Tigers. I learned this from all that. Well, guess what? There have been those Tiger teams where your bullpens have sucked. And it doesn't matter if Jim Leland will come out of retirement, which is not happening, by the way. He said years ago the fire wasn't there, and if you look at his age, I just don't see him come into a full season again. Spring training, fine. A full season? No. Absolutely not. As far as manager candidates, really hard to say. We're not going to have a list until about September, October. We know that. I have no idea if Espada would take the job, or if they're going to take the interim title off of Thompson. We don't know. That's too early to tell. But the problems here have been very cut and clear from the beginning. There has been worry for some time. But at the end of the day, you came in here and said, this is fine, that's fine. Grab this bat and grab that bat. We understand about the lockout. We know that you want to upgrade, and you know you came here to win because that's what you love to do, Dombroski. You like to win. But if we're going by anything, just outfield, just anything. Of all the players that kind of came in, okay? So if we go by the free agent signings. Now, I'm just being fair here. I'm just being fair. I'm kind of just looking at this by position. Of all the left fielders signed, if this thing would filter, I understand Clint Frazier was a gamble. Cameron Maybin retired. McCutchen wasn't going to fit the bill, which is understandable. But if you think about, what you signed for, you signed a guy for essentially DH purposes that could play the field. A guy who has a hard time hitting his weight. And you talk a lot about money. So, I understand, don't know why Castellanos is labeled left fielder here, but okay. Was Chris Bryant, I think, was too expensive. That's very reasonable. Mark Canha, no one expected him to be this productive, and I just don't think that was maybe it could have helped, I don't know. Corey Dickerson, as far as hitting, it's been inconsistent. But right now, would you take Jock Peterson over the Schwarb? If we're talking money, if we're going to talk about payroll, if we're going to throw that one out there, I think it's reasonable. If anyone wants to talk to what's going on and what's this and what's that, as far as right field goes, I mean, there's really Avisail Garcia, who signed with the Marlins. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that move, but Castellanos, it could have been better. Starlin Marte, I think, could have really helped this team by a good margin. And if we go by, I'm just going by the free agent class in itself, because I'm talking about the dollars that could have been moved around, and I really don't see personally anything substantial. Some of the free agent class, there's a couple of names, that was just it. But I think the way that this was constructed was it's just like, oh, I see the offensive production. But he's kind of a liability in the field. Oh, no, we'll walk past that. It's going to be interesting to see because I think no matter who's in center field, we know who our left and right fielder are every day. They don't seem to be catching on yet. It's already been about 2 months. Do you see this Phillies team making the playoffs? Do you see this team going on some magical run? Hey, sixth place in the NL. I don't. So anyone can rebuttal this. Anyone can make reason of why this team will be better. And we do have a couple of guys on the IL. Didi and Segura are on the IL, which I get. But right now, I'm just not sure if I agree with this. I think I would have rode out until about the trade deadline. I would have had Bryce Harper get a surgery. Would have tried to see what I could do around the trade deadline and go from there. Of course, that's not the Dombroski way. In the 90s and early 2000s, he would be a great general manager. It's 2022. Numbers or not, we're not sure how much of a fan he is. But the fact that he's defending things where, like, oh, we don't lack fundamentals. Really? You have a hard time throwing the ball to first base. Don't BS. And I feel terrible because to end it, the New York teams are waiting on football and basketball. It could take its time. Philly, it's June 4th. You're waiting for football to get here. You want to skip the summer and you want week 1 football to start. That sucks. And I feel for them because they deserve better. This is AJ Torres calling strikes, and I'll catch you next time. Take it easy. Hope you're happy, healthy, and well. Take care, everybody.